Ladies and gentlemen, after a week since the last NASCAR 06 Cup Series race, we are back at it again, and this time at the Chicagoland Speedway for the running of the USG Sheetrock 400. Of course, Chicagoland, a place that we all know put on some really great NASCAR racing, one of the best, if not the best, mile and a half on the circuit at the time of its departure off the NASCAR schedule. But we are back at that same racetrack again tonight. Like and subscribe for more daily NASCAR content as we get into tonight's full race live stream. Realistic commentary, NASCAR video game edition tonight. 400 miles, 267 laps around this mile and a half. Pretty much circular racetrack because even the backstretch is curved as well, but oval nonetheless. And Dale Earnhardt Jr. comes in 192 points out of first from Carl Edwards in the regular season standings. But with that being said, he's got a lot of drivers between him and Edwards yet because he is 7th in points. Also remember, only the top 10, based off of regular season points, make the chase during this playoff/chase format in the 2005 season. With Dale Jr. being in 7th right now, he has just over a 100-point cushion over 10th, 11th place, which would be the first driver outside the cutoff line. So Dale Jr. cannot afford to have a bad run, and a good run could put him in contention once again to compete for the regular season championship. We're about to find out what is going to happen in this race. Good news is Dale Jr. did qualify on the pole, so he'll be leading the field to the green today. We'll see how that's going to work out for him. I believe only the 3rd pole of the season for Dale Earnhardt Jr., and it is time to see if he can not only score the pole, which he already did, but also win the race with it. Wade Selinsky, Toxic Punk Young Boy. Does Brad K need a second championship? Welcome to the stream. And let's get this race underway tonight. Cup Series racing on NASCAR 06. First time since last Wednesday when it was a night race at Daytona in the Pepsi 400. Junior looking for a bounce-back performance race today as he leads the field to the green and down into turns 1 and 2. Quickly pulled ahead of Tony Stewart as soon as he got that launch to make sure Stewart wasn't going to be able to get around him. And he's going to have to guard the bottom on the backstretch with Jimmy Johnson in the 48 car right there. And Dale Jr. off turn 4 is going to be able to lead lap 1. And they work their way back to the start-finish line. Oh, you're Mr. Jeff Gordon. Gotcha. Remember you from last night? Thanks for tuning in. Greg Biffle gonna slide into second, already getting around Tony Stewart in the opening lap, and then as well as Jimmy Johnson in the 48. Stewart, who started second, already outside the top 5. Martin Truex Jr. to the bottom of the racetrack, and look at Truex making up some ground. Johnson's 3 wide off the exit of turn 4 on the outside of Tony Stewart and Carl Edwards. And Truex is going for second into turn 1 underneath the 16 of Biffle. Jr. leaving a lot of bottom open. Truex is underneath, and he is not going to take team orders. Truex is trying to get to the front of the field, and 3 wide in the middle of 3 and 4. Junior gets out of the gas. He's going to lose a lot of track position. Almost gets squeezed into the fence by his teammate, his other teammate at that, Michael Waltrip in the 15. Risky business right now for Dale Jr. He got stuck on the outside, lifted a bunch in turns 3 and 4 to keep it off the wall and to keep from getting pinched into the wall. Now he's still stuck on the outside lane. Carl Edwards leads now, scoring 5 bonus points. Junior was able to lead the first 2 laps, and that was it. Trying to get back down to the bottom, and finally does as he crosses his teammate Michael Waltrip in the 15 car over on the front stretch. Junior didn't realize he was 3 wide. He knew Truex was underneath him, but he had no clue Carl Edwards was there also. Smart move to just get out of the gas. I know he lost a lot of track position, but it was better than wrecking the car on lap 3. And he never made any contact with any of that. But we know he's got a fast car, so he's going to try to get back through here. Mark DeMars, Derek Booth, official Mike Whitty fan page, welcome to the stream. Jeff Gordon showing off the Rainbow Warrior paint scheme tonight. An iconic paint scheme to that 24 car. He is coming in off a win at Daytona. as Gordon was the one that won the Pepsi 400. It looked like somebody had made contact off turn 4 on the front stretch that last lap, but we continued to stay green. And Gordon trying to battle Dale Jr. a little more. Jr. on the outside lane right now into turns 1 and 2. And Gordon clears Earnhardt off turn 2. It also gets to the inside of Kurt Busch in the 97. Really, Carjoy, welcome to the stream. Johnson with an aggressive move, a slide job on the 12 of Ryan Newman. Jr. lost the nose in line behind Gordon, almost got into Busch and had to lift off turn 4 again to keep the 97 car in front of him and not run into the left rear corner panel of Kurt Busch either. Kurt's teammate Carl Edwards continues to lead. After Jr. started on the pole, led the first 2 laps. Even 8 laps in, though, right now, the top 10 are all within 1 second of the race lead. Junior to the apron, through the tri-oval, trying to desperately get underneath Kurt Busch. I think he's there. 3 wide as Kurt's going to be in the middle with Jeff Gordon on the outside. Off the exit of turn 2, Junior clear. Barely, but he was clear. So he moves up in front of Kurt Busch and Jeff Gordon. Great 3 wide pass, and going to the apron, the tri-oval was what allowed for Dale Jr. to get that run, carry the momentum without having to lift in line, and got to the inside 3 wide. LGBT NASCAR fan, welcome to the stream. Yeah, I wonder if he's got the virtual mustache going with the virtual Rainbow Warrior car tonight. I remember when Jeff Gordon ran the throwback race at Darlington in 2015. It was the first year with the throwback scheme, and obviously it was his last year in the Cup Series, and he brought back the mustache for one race in his final season. Anybody else remember that? Junior to the inside of Matt Kenseth. Carries that same momentum into turns 3 and 4. Underneath the 48 of Jimmy Johnson. That was a really low dive by Earnhardt. Held onto it on the white line. He's back up to 6th. Martin Truex Jr. still in 2nd. Just can't find a way around Carl Edwards for the lead right now. Hendrick fans, welcome into the stream. Contact up ahead for 3rd between Greg Biffle and Tony Stewart. Biffle got into the left rear corner panel of the 20 of Stewart. And now Truex may be underneath the 99 of Edwards this time on the front stretch. Nope, not quite. Into turn 1, he's going to drive it in deep, trying to get underneath him, and he is. Rookie Martin Truex Jr. for DEI is going to take the lead off turn 2. Although he's not clear yet. He'll try to clear him down into turns 3 and 4, and I'm sure he's going to be able to. Stewart gets tight again. Earnhardt's going to get underneath him. Biffle will pass his teammate Edwards in turns 3 and 4 for 2nd. 5 bonus points for Martin Truex Jr. leading his first lap of the race. Jr. clears Stewart on the front stretch for 4th, meanwhile. Big dive underneath of Carl Edwards. And quickly to the inside of Biffle with a low exit off turn 2. Jr. showing why he qualified on the pole. And he's right back up to 2nd. Truex and Earnhardt going to share draft down the straightaways right now and trying to get away from the field. I don't know how much that's really going to work on a 1.5 miles. But we'll see. Junior's willing to be patient. He's already got his 5 bonus points. Biffle's going to start to put too much pressure on the 8th. That's when he's going to hop out of line and try to get around the one car. Which may be sooner rather than later, because Biffle is starting to put a lot of pressure behind the 8 of Earnhardt. Biffle to the inside of Dale Jr. for second place. Off the exit of turn 2. Earnhardt trying to side draft Biffle. Couldn't really do it. Biffle on the inside of Truex for the race lead. Not going to clear him off turn 4. Jr. with a run off the high side. Down to the apron through the tri-oval. He's trying to get underneath the Biff into turn 1. Big dive bomb by the Dale Jr. Oh, and the DEI cars are in the wall on the outside in turns 1 and 2. Jr. couldn't hold the corner. Oh, what a tough break in the early going for both of the DEI cars of Martin Truex Jr. and Dale Jr. Everybody misses to the inside. Jr. went for it all that time into turns 1 and 2, and it did not pan out. And that will be our first caution of the race today, and the field will hit pit road, but because Dale Jr. was involved in the accident, he cannot pit for fuel or tires. DW's Booty Cheese, welcome to the stream. I see you in the chat as well. February 18, 2001, I cheered, welcome to the stream. And you hate to see it. I don't think Dale Jr.'s got much damage out of that, and he'll win the race off pit road because he couldn't take fuel or tires, so he will get back to the lead, but everybody's going to have fresh tires behind him. Hopefully Truex doesn't have too much damage. I think he definitely got the worst of it. Green flag back in the air. Jr. will lead the field to the green. Truex is definitely no longer in the top 5. I don't know how far back he fell. Good restart for Dale Jr. He's been pretty good. He was good on the initial start. Led the first couple laps of the race from the pole, and this restart he took off pretty well, even on a little bit older tires. Yeah, Tigers have been putting a beating on the Guardians in the current series they're in right now. Won 11-4 last night. I doubt Dale Jr. is going to be able to hold this group back for a long period of time at least. That was a deep, deep dive by both Harvick and Earnhardt going into turn 3. I think Junior's lucky he doesn't have too much damage on the race car. He didn't really knock any of the speed out of it, which is good. Holding on for track position for right now. And they won this afternoon also. Nice. Yeah, I didn't get to see that being at work. Four-game sweep. I think they won 2 out of 3 against the Royals, too. They're definitely on a hot streak right now against their division rivals, which is good. So the division's weak, so who knows? Maybe we have a shot. Maybe we can come back in the second half of the season and win the division. Might be asking for a lot. We got to beat the Twins, though. That's the team that's on top right now in the division. Still got to play them quite a few more times yet before the end of the year, so you never know. They won 8-2 today. Awesome. Junior left a little bit of the bottom open, but Harvick didn't enter into turns 1 and 2 perfectly that time. Junior protecting the bottom. Kevin Harvick to the outside this time through 3 and 4. That didn't work for him. Junior still holding on to the lead. 6 laps after the restart. I wonder if it's one of those things where if he loses the lead, he's going to start to go backwards. But while he has the clean air, he's able to hold on. No Torres, welcome to the stream. Harvick's putting a lot of pressure on Dale Jr. though over the last lap and a half. All over the left rear corner panel, the 8 right now. Junior's tires have to be worn at this point in the run after that spin, bringing out the first caution. Patrick Shadley, welcome into the stream. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what that new charter agreement's going to end up coming out to. Or, well, next, I guess, I would assume the charters are still going to be a thing, but how that's going to work when they have the new deal in a couple years. Because the demand to get into the Cup Series right now is very high. It's such an elite list to try and get in. That's what makes it so difficult. You can't just show up on any given weekend and try to qualify your way in anymore. Well, I mean, you can, but only for the literally 4 spots in the field, and that's it. Plus, you don't get as much percentage of the payout as what the charter teams do, too. You're automatically going to make less than them. Harvick was not able to get around Dale Jr., so Matt Kenseth finally ran him down for second. And we'll see if Kenseth could put any pressure on his fellow 2000 rookie Dale Jr. Kenseth does have 1 win this season. So does Kevin Harvick in the 29. See Carl Edwards up to 4th and Jeff Gordon behind him, rounding out the top 5 right now. Lap 33 of 267 at Chicagoland. USG Sheetrock 400. Bottom left open initially there. Junior did not chop off the 17 of Kenseth. Oh, now he did. That was an aggressive block for Junior to hold on to the lead. And Kenseth loses not 1 but 2 positions, and he's back to 4th. Both Harvick and Edwards get around him on the backstretch. I don't think Kenseth was appreciative of Dale Jr.'s block and desperation for Jr. to hold on to this track position on older tires. Because he was definitely there. And he was there for a little bit. Ace of Spades, welcome to the stream. I don't think the computer's going to hold on to the lead for me with being on older tires. I just don't see it happening. Kenseth did get back around Edwards that last lap on the front stretch. Cleared him for 3rd. Junior going to gap Kevin Harvick through turns 1 and 2. I think these tires will even out at some point in time. Junior overdrove turns 3 and 4. Wiggled quite a bit. He's got the left side tires down on the painted white line on the apron. Caught the car quickly, but definitely cost him a lot of momentum on the front stretch, and now goes wide in turns 1 and 2 this time, and Harvick's going to get underneath him off the exit of the corner. Side by side for the lead down the backstretch at Chicagoland on lap 36. Kevin Harvick trying to go for his first lead of the race. And he is going to clear Dale Jr. off turn 4. Kenseth to the inside of Dale Jr. for 2nd. Harvick going to go really wide. Kenseth side drafts the 8 of Earnhardt. He's squeezing him. Jr. pops the wall going into turn 1. And he can't get off of it. He's stuck to it. Still can't get off of it, and finally does. Falls all the way back to 6. Kyle Busch inside the top 5 for the first time tonight now. That was costly. And Matt Kenseth will lead for the first time tonight in Chicago. Torres rooting for the Dodgers. Looking pretty good this season. A lot of the big market teams are all honestly the best teams in the league. Think of heavily populated cities in the U.S. And in the top 4 right now, you have 4 teams. With the Dodgers in L.A. No specific order, but you got the Dodgers in L.A. Houston, 4th largest city in the U.S. The Astros are playing really well right now. They got a big lead in their division. The Yankees and the Mets are both playing really well right now. They both have over 50 wins. You want 17 different winners? That's going to be possible. Could you imagine, though, somebody who won a race this year was thinking, oh, I'm going to be locked into the playoffs, and now that might not be the case. I really hope Blaney can get a win here sometime soon, because it's starting to scare me a little bit. He'll be good on points, but if we have 16 winners that he's not one of them, that would not be good. He's been running so consistent this year, and the fact that I think he's, what, 2nd or 3rd in the regular season standings? That's one thing, too. I think, remember, the regular season champion, even if they go winless, is locked into the playoffs. So if Blaney catches Chase Elliott for the regular season championship, I think he's just over 30 points behind him right now, but if he can catch him, we know Blaney's good on super speedways. He's got Atlanta, Daytona left. Chase Elliott doesn't have good runs at those tracks, and Blaney scores a lot of points. Those could be the difference maker in Blaney competing for the regular season title. But if he gets to that, and that's an automatic lock, then we only need 15 different winners to lock up the playoff spots. Kyle Busch blocking Dale Jr. through turns 1 and 2. Didn't give up enough on the bottom for Dale Jr. to get underneath him. Jr. looking to the outside, trying to find a way underneath Busch. Into turn 1, side by side. He is running Kyle way up the hill, trying to side draft him. Going into the corner, now Busch goes down the track. Didn't get right on the right rear corner panel of Dale Jr. yet. Now he's there. Jr. had to arc it off into turn 3 a little better. He clears Busch with a slide job. And is back inside the top 5 for the 3rd different time today. Yeah, should be able to make it over 70 laps on fuel. No, I had one caution there. Got a slow car in turns 3 and 4 right now, trying to get to pit road. Somebody is blowing an engine. DEI car started off well. All 3 of them were in the top 10 early. Truex and Dale Jr. have led laps. I don't know that Dale Jr.'s got anything for the top 4 right now on his older tires. Likely going to have to wait for pit stop to come. Carl Edwards looking for the lead again underneath the 17 of Kenseth. Maybe not quite going to get underneath him in the middle of the corner that time. Dark Crypto, welcome into the stream. Hit that like button, subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. If you have not already, just hit just over 2.4 thousand subscribers on the channel late last night during our NASCAR 21 Ignition live stream at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Got live commentary coming up again this weekend at the Atlanta Motor Speedway as well for the NASCAR Cup Series race on Sunday, and then hopefully the Xfinity race on Saturday as well. I'll be at Mid-Ohio for the truck race on Saturday afternoon, so race highlight video from the grandstand there, and I will have the race highlight video / vlog out on the channel tomorrow from my weekend at Mid-Ohio last week for the IndyCar race. Of course, we'll be live streaming the next couple of nights as well. Tomorrow night's live stream is going to be NASCAR 06 at Milwaukee for the Busch Series. Or sorry, no, that's on Friday night. Tomorrow night's NASCAR 21 Ignition at New Hampshire. That will be tomorrow night's live stream. Dale Jr. looking low underneath Gordon. Gordon running him tight in the tri-oval, trying to side draft Dale into turn 1. Jr. up the hill, and both him and Gordon into the wall. Jr. got around him for 4th. Gordon was holding on to that right rear corner panel as tightly as he possibly could, and Jr. slid up the track just a little bit, which is where the contact was then made, and both cars got into the wall. No wreck there, but they lost a lot of time on the top 3. They're over 2 seconds off the lead at lap 50. Jeff Gordon, second at Infineon 2 races ago to Dale Jr., who won that race despite Gordon led the most laps. Then a max points day for Gordon in the Pepsi 400 at Daytona, where he led the most laps and got the win. So he's riding a bit of a hot streak. He's in the top 5, of course, in the early going of this one as well. And again, he is holding Dale Jr. ever so tightly. Anytime Dale Jr. gets underneath him, Jr.'s car is definitely loosening up on this longer run, and he's struggling with the handling. Again, looks low under Gordon through 3 and 4. Side by side. How tightly is Gordon going to hold him this time? Pretty tightly again, I'd have to imagine. Down into turn 1 they go. Jr. needs to find a way to clear him somehow. Low exit for both drivers. Jr. clear finally of Gordon. We'll see if he can drive away. He's got a little bit of clean air on the nose now. Helps straighten things out just a little bit. Gordon not close enough behind him to take the air off the rear spoiler either that time. One car way up out of the groove. That was Edwards in second. Almost lost that spot to Kevin Harvick. Kenseth leads. 2 Fords and 3 Chevrolets in the top 5. Roush Fenway runs 1-2 at the front of the field. Followed by an RCR Chevrolet, a DEI Chevrolet, and then a Hendrick Chevy. Kyle Busch at 6, just behind his teammate Gordon. I think Jimmy Johnson may be behind him in 7th. Side by side for second now. Harvick to the inside of Edwards as Edwards made that mistake in turns 1 and 2 the last lap. Lap later, and Harvick is right there with him. And as they battle for position, Kenseth slowly starting to pull away. Going to alternate through the different camera angles for the first time in the race today over the next dozen laps. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is going to try to run down the top 3 in front of him. It's only a second and a half off the lead, but this late in the run, it's becoming a bit of a challenge just for Dale Jr. to keep the car underneath him. And you fight for the bottom of the racetrack on a consistent basis as well. And this car's even getting light in the tri-oval at times. Loose is fast if you can hang on to it. Edwards going to be able to get back around Kevin Harvick a couple laps after Harvick originally took over second place. Edwards has it back. And Harvick may be looking to cross him over again on the front stretch. They continue to battle. Again, Kenseth not only continues to pull away, but it's allowing Dale Jr. to close in on this battle for second. There might be a 3-car battle here before long. Oh yeah, this game is definitely better than NASCAR 21 Ignition. No argument for me on that one. Right rear really starting to wear out on Dale Jr. Chevrolet. Top 4 all within 1 second of the lead on this green flag run that has lasted just over 35 laps. Longest of the 2 green flag runs in the early going of the race tonight. Junior's definitely close enough to be in a little bit of dirty air now. The real Marco, welcome to the stream. Quarter tank of gas left for Earnhardt. And he's got about 20 lap older tires than everybody else around him right now. Had arguably one of the fastest cars in the field before that on equal tires. All over the back of the 29 of Kevin Harvick currently. You wonder how aggressive he is going to be in trying to make it past 4th position, knowing that he is going to have to pit very soon. Can't quite get to the inside of the 29 car that time, but he is all over his back bumper off turn 4. Side by side into turns 1 and 2. Oh, contact! Harvick is up on his side! Caution for the second time today. Kevin Harvick with a terrible hit into the wall in turns 1 and 2 will bring out our next yellow. I saw out of the rear view, he's up on his side, and he gets drilled in the roof of his race car by an oncoming car, who I believe was Jimmy Johnson in the 48. Brian Vickers got taken out. Actually, no, that was Mike Bliss who got taken out in that as well. I think Harvick was squeezing Dale Jr. down the track, just like we saw from Jeff Gordon earlier in the race. And because Dale Jr. had gotten into Harvick causing the caution, he can't pit for fuel or tires during the yellow. Nobody else will pit here during the second yellow. That's 2 races in a row that we've seen some pretty violent hits on the channel. Last night on NASCAR 21 Ignition, where Blaney flipped on the front stretch at Atlanta, and now today Harvick at Chicagoland.
Looks like we're the only car on pit road during that entire caution.
Junior towards the back, green flag back in the air. Kenseth will restart in the lead, lap 65. How do I know all their names, so many of them? Just watching it my whole life. Both the rear tires and the yellow on the tire wear indicator for Dale Jr. This point in the run. He's going to go as far as he can before he has to pit, but it's probably not going to be much further. And he will end up going a lap down until about 20 laps after he hits pit road. We'll see the rest of the field pit. And then we'll see where he'll cycle out from there. Dale Jr. going to drive underneath the 49 car of Kenny Schrader. Schrader's holding him tight. Jr.'s just going to let him go into turns 1 and 2. He knows he's faster than these cars at the back of the pack, but they crowd him so much in the corners. And that is what has caused that last accident and a couple stack-ups in this race already. getting loose down on the apron. Still trying to correct the car, and now he's in the wall in turn 1. How about a debris caution from Harvick? We'll see. That would be good for us. That's if Harvick's still in the race. Obviously, Dale Jr.'s tires are extremely worn out. Getting really loose into turn 1. Kind of catches the car in the middle of the corner, and it's fine all the way to the exit. It turns a little too freely on entry right now. And that's where Dale Jr.'s at his loosest. Just does not feel comfortable trying to pass cars. And he's going to stay out as long as he can, hoping for a caution. That is not him. Everybody stacked up on the restart. Well, if I bump up the air pressure, that's going to loosen the car up a little more. So there's a chance I'm probably going to drop the air pressure just a little bit. That will likely be the only adjustment on pit road when Junior makes his way down in a few laps. There's no practice, but Junior qualified on the pole. That's interesting with having no practice because this is going to be his first test to make a green flag stop very soon. Blew right around one of the fantasy drivers at the back of the pack. He's going to get to the inside of Kenny Schrader in the 49 car now. And now he is looking to the inside of Shane Neal into turn 1. He'll get there on the 08. He's at the 39th. At least he's gaining some positions before he hits the pits. The front's starting to wear out a little more on Dale Jr.'s race car as well. I think one car just hit the wall. Kenny Schrader in the middle of the front stretch. Got into the wall. Slide job pass there for Junior around the 44 and former two-time NASCAR champion Terry Labonte. Lap 76, that's a long way. Lap 75, excuse me, but that's a long way on fuel right now. Even with 2 cautions for 6 caution laps. 3 wide to the inside through 1 and 2 goes Dale Jr. Trying to get as many spots as he can all of a sudden these closing laps before he pits. He's up to 35th. Wilson in on Scott Wimmer, who's in his 2nd season. Bill Davis racing in the 22 Caterpillar car. I think if I remember correctly, Dave Blaney's going to be in that car next season. Or on NASCAR 07. Junior to 34th. Junior will pit at lap 77. He'll stay out this time by, and then he'll pit the following time by. In dire need of a caution. Either that, or he's just hoping everything cycles all the way through. Ricky Rudd is squeezing Earnhardt into turns 1 and 2. They're going to make contact. Into the wall they both go. Dale Jr. tried not to spin out. Didn't. He's going to lose a lot of track position right before he hits pit road. Costly right back to 40th. He was in 34th, battling for 33rd. Good save, but Now he's going to have to try to get... Oh, he locked it up and into the wall. That's going to bring out a caution. He tried to get to pit road, and as soon as he drove it onto the apron, the car just veered to the right. That transition from the banking on the middle of the corner down to the apron, which is much flatter. And the 8 car got real light. And he overcorrected it, bringing out caution number 3. Luckily, he was going at a slow rated speed that he didn't cause too much damage to the car, I don't think. And the field is going to pit again, and this is problemsome for Junior because he can't pit for tires. I will pit for fuel so I don't run out on the restart. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I'm just going to put a splash and go into it. Can't make any adjustments. I'll have to pit for tires right after the restart. That's caution number 3. Had that happen at Daytona and NASCAR 9, so I understand that. I just got a couple cars out in the grass. Like Kurt Busch, Greg Biffle in the grass. I think I saw Tony Stewart in the grass as well on pit road. This has been an interesting race, to say the least, so far for Dale Jr. A little contact out of the pits between Sadler and Wimmer. Saw a couple other cars up ahead make contact as well. Nobody's a lap down with the way the first 3 yellows have come out today, all in the first 80 laps of the race. Junior will restart 25th. Green flag back in the air. Carl Edwards won the race off pit road. He'll restart in the lead. Lap 82. Junior going to try to get up to speed, and then he'll pit. Wimmer gets into the back of Sadler on the restart. Junior's stuck on the outside. He's not going to be able to pit this time. He can't get down to the bottom. Oh, they're 3 wide. He had no clue they were 3 wide. Dale Jarrett was underneath the car. It was on the inside of Earnhardt. Earnhardt trying to get to the bottom and almost got into his teammate Michael Waltrip. That's why you don't pit from the 3rd lane. And now he's in the wall and into Rudd and in the wall and into Rudd. Ricky's mad. Now Jimmy Spencer runs into the side of the 8. Oh my goodness. He's going to pit this time. Take 2. Alright, didn't over... Okay, we're in. I thought he was going to hit that wall head on. He's going to top off. 4 tires and fuel. Junior finally in. Going to drop the air pressure 2 pounds to try and help tighten it up for the longer run. My goodness. Not a great start for Dale Earnhardt Jr. This is going to put him a lap down. I didn't want to take tires because I brought out the caution. And now there's a mistake on pit road. The front tire changer. I feel like it's the same guy every week. Every week with this guy. You're fired. Junior's off and away. Air pressure adjustment, dropping the air pressure 2 pounds all the way around. 42nd, only car 1 lap down. Keith Kumpo, welcome to the stream. Oh, that's your favorite PS2 game. Awesome, man. Well, thanks for tuning in. Hit that like button. 26 current viewers on the live stream tonight. Only 12 likes. Helps these streams out a lot. Also, subscribe for more daily NASCAR content if you are new. Long ways to go. If you're a Dale Jr. fan, you're watching this, wondering what the Do It For Dale series is. We're trying to get Dale Earnhardt Jr. his first career NASCAR Cup Series championship on this current season on NASCAR 06. It's the halfway mark on the season after today's race. Top 10 make it to the chase on points. Junior is 7th coming into this race. He's only 192 points out of first. He He could score 190 points in one race, but he is also only just over 100 points above the cutoff line. So one really good race, he could be right there for the regular season championship battle, and one bad race, which so far tonight has not been great, and he could be right on the cutoff line, if not outside the cutoff line. With just 8 races to go before the chase after tonight's race concludes. It's been drama-filled from the start today. Pretty much from about lap 20 or so on. 3 cautions in the race today, and Dale Jr. having to make that unscheduled stop on the restart to take tires because he couldn't pit for fuel or tires, bringing out the caution before that. Everybody else is pretty good on fuel, at least in the sense that they're even on fuel because everybody else pitted during that last caution. Junior may have another extra 2 laps probably in his car compared to everybody else. Yeah, clean air should help. But Dale Jr.'s got a fast race car, and I know he's gotten into a couple incidences, but he really hasn't hit the wall hard. I don't think he's had any speed knocked out of the car. Looking at the speedometer on corner entry, I don't notice anything that is particularly off. So that's good. He's gotten very fortunate that he hasn't knocked too much speed out of the race car, but where the problem lies is, again, he's a lap down, so he's going to have to find a way to get back on the lead lap here eventually. And being on pretty much the same pit strategy, it's going to be interesting to see how he can do it. Nathan Elliott, welcome to the stream. Remind you of someone twin young Dale Jr. The one thing we have in common is we both have red facial hair. The hair on the top of my head isn't even red. I don't even know how I have a red beard, to be completely honest. I don't really know of any gingers on my dad's side of the family. On my mom's side, I can think of one. One of my cousins. But that's it. I don't know how my beard's red, to be completely honest. The hair on the top of my head's brown. When I first was able to grow facial hair, I thought it was like just going to be something when I was younger, and it was just going to naturally get darker as I've gotten older. Fast forward 5 years now, and it's still all red. So I don't know. Very strange. Well, the points leader, Carl Edwards, is leading this race right now, and he's led quite a few laps in the early going. He only had a 52-point lead over Tony Stewart for the regular season points lead going into this race. 59 points separating the top 3, and 132 separating the top 6. I will take it as a compliment. Going to take our first field pass of the race today through the other DEI cars, and we'll start off with Michael Waltrip in the 15. Waltrip getting into turns 3 and 4 right now is currently in the 26th place position, right in front of Kyle Petty and Sterling Marlin. Quickly to the inside of the 175. We'll get around him. See if we can get Waltrip in the top 20 before we leave him. And drive his Truex for a handful of laps. Waltrip was in the top 10 earlier, but the pit stops have not gone well for him so far through the first 2 stops of the day. Junior's only pitted for tires once. At least I don't have Mexican features. What's that supposed to entail? I mean, I'm tall. Is that like a... That was a random comment. New Joji, welcome into the stream. I think I see Truex. He's not that much further ahead of Waltrip right now. Brian Vickers was blocking Michael Waltrip through turns 3 and 4. Waltrip couldn't get around him. 2 more laps with the 15 car, then we'll drive with the 1. Waltrip blows by Vickers through turns 1 and 2. We are at lap 100. Well, originally NASCAR, they didn't race at Chicagoland in 2020 because of COVID. And then I don't know if 2021 they had it off the schedule because of COVID or not too. But as of this year, I don't know why they didn't go back, to be completely honest. Kind of a shame they didn't, to be completely honest. Waltrip right in line behind his teammate Truex in the 20th place position. We'll drive as Truex for the next little bit. And try to see if we can get the 1 car closer to the top 10. In 19th when we took over. Gets around 2 cars through turns 1 and 2. Waltrip's following him, for right now at least. Truex not going to be able to get underneath Elliott Sadler. He's squeezing himself trying to get to the inside of the 38 car. Big block by Sadler into turn 1, and Sadler's going to get underneath the 42 of Jamie McMurray. Truex going to take it 3 wide in turns 1 and 2 down on the bottom. 3 wide and tight on the backstretch as they battle for 15th. Still 3 wide into turn 3. Truex almost makes contact. They're still 3 wide, and McMurray on the high side holds clear. Sadler in the middle might have lifted to keep from making contact with both Truex and McMurray. Now Truex blocks him on the front stretch. Waltrip lost a couple positions. He might have had to lift behind those guys. And Truex trying to run McMurray back down again in the 42 car. He's underneath him on the backstretch. Truex inside the top 15 once again. One more lap and then we'll drive as Dale Earnhardt Jr. At least for the remainder of the first half of this race today. He's slowly reeling in the back of the pack right now. Yeah, I'd like to see Chicagoland back on the schedule again for sure. And back to Dale Jr. goes ourselves, I guess. Going to need a caution that he's not involved in to get the free pass as of right now with being the first and only car 1 lap down. So 1 caution would get Dale Jr. back on the lead lap. And then he could pit, means he would get the free pass anyway. So even if the rest of the field pits, he'd still be on the same strategy. If they don't, then he'll just have fresher tires on the restart at the tail end of the longest line. again would be the lead lap line considering no other cars are lapped down. Still 160 laps to go. Get that 159 this time by. And likely a 2 pit stop race to the finish yet as well. Dale Jr. on the apron through the trial. A lot more grip this time around to be able to do that compared to the first tire stint of the race for himself. It's the only race at Chicagoland this season. Every year in the NASCAR Cup Series in real life that they raced at Chicagoland, they only raced once a season. Yep, the lucky dog does work in this game, unlike NASCAR 21 Ignition. I agree with you, New Joji. I would rather see them go to the Chicagoland. Just because I know it's going to be a better race, personally, as a pure racing fan. Chicagoland was, again, in my opinion, the best mile and a half on the schedule when they stopped going there. And street course racing doesn't typically produce the best kind of racing, at least in open wheel and other motorsports. The tight confines of it, it might kind of race like a short track with NASCAR. So I wouldn't shoot the idea down completely, but I'm all for a street course race somewhere else and then bringing Chicagoland back to the schedule. We saw Harvick flip earlier. No debris cautions came out for both him, Jimmy Johnson, who hit Harvick, Mike Bliss, who was collected in that accident as well. It's already been over 50 laps since that happened. I'd have to imagine not seeing a debris caution yet for that accident. I don't think we're going to get one at all from that yellow itself. Look like Justin Turner. If my beard was longer, yes, which it was until I trimmed it. I'd probably say more like a younger Jason Worth. Only because my hair's not blonde. .916 fastest lap so far. This 8 car is definitely quick. I'm definitely not counting Dale Jr. out of a shot to win this race yet. Couple cars side by side in front of Dale Jr. He's not going to waste any time. He's going to go to the bottom, 3 wide on the backstretch, heading towards turn 3. These passes are going to be for position, but he can't waste any time. Has to get going. Live around both the 147 and the 14 of John Andretti. .29.884 fast lap. A little bit wider through 3 and 4 that time. This is definitely not going to be the fast lap. We'll alternate through the different camera angles one more time in today's race. Even though we're still in the first half of the going. Junior's so focused on just trying to run consistent fast lap times right now. Closes on the 22 car of Scott Wimmer. Dives underneath him into turns 1 and 2, and he'll be able to make a pass on Wimmer. All clear off the exit of turn 2. Down to the in-car cam. Shane Meal, Jeff Green battling for position. Green was also involved in that Kevin Harvick accident earlier on. Dale Jr. to the inside of Jeff Green, 3 wide into turns 1 and 2. Second 3 wide pass in the back of the field for Dale Jr. on his current fuel and tire stint. That time was getting by the 08 and the 43. That time it was also in turns 1 and 2 rather than 3 and 4. I think Junior needs to go for broke now. It's not going to be any worse in the running order. Halfway out of fuel during this current fuel and tire stint. Hooked onto that white line through 3 and 4. An aggressive line nonetheless. So he gets to the inside of the 44 car now, Terry Labonte. Labonte squeezing Earnhardt through turns 1 and 2. Another 3 wide pass for Junior around Scott Riggs and Terry Labonte. I don't know if that's something you want to get comfortable with, but I'd say Dale Jr. is comfortably making 3 wide passes at Chicagoland during this current run. Clean ones at that. Again, he is not wasting any time. Ripping the bottom. Even in dirty air. Jeff Burt with a big block on the 45 car of Kyle Petty. Dale Jr. going to get underneath the 45 of Petty this time into turn 1. Deep dive for Dale Jr. Slides up the track. He chopped that corner off a little bit more on corner entry that time, so it wasn't a clearance of Petty until they got down the back stretch. And into turns 3 and 4, he's well clear. He held the bottom. He made sure he was going to keep it off the 45. Halfway mark, we'll have tonight's trivia question as usual. I already have the trivia question gathered up, so I won't have to pause it at all. Clean pass. Dale Jr. going to get by the 31 of Jeff Burton. We'll go back to the far chase cam for now. Dale Jr. underneath the 49 car. Kenny Schrader clears him. That was an aggressive turn down to the inside on the backstretch. And a big dive for Dale Jr. underneath of Sterling Marlin. And Travis Quaffle, a couple dodges, he'll get by as well in turns 3 and 4. It wasn't 3 wide when he made that pass on both of them, but he did get around both in the same corner. Now the track map on the upper right-hand corner of the screen, it looks as if Carl Edwards is pulling away just a little bit more. Junior 3 wide into turns 1 and 2 again. He's making passes. That just goes to show how close it is every time he does that. But again, he's making it work for now. Even just past halfway through the fuel and tire stint, he's still making those passes. Next car in front of him is the 21 of Ricky Rudd, who he got into prior to his green flag stop very early in this green flag run. Rudd may try to take Dale Jr. out, so Jr. better be careful. Can't get the free pass if he's involved in the yellow, so he's definitely going to have to get around him cleanly. Hope for a caution elsewhere. Rudd, really wide arc into turns 1 and 2. Junior closing in behind. He's definitely way faster than the 21. And blocks him into turns 3 and 4. Junior got into him a little bit. Rudd taking a swing. Junior held on to it. He gets around Ricky Rudd. Not the quickest way around him. Run away, Junior. Jimmy Spencer in the 50. Next car in front of Earnhardt. Dale to the inside of Spencer. The Junior Nation's loving these moves. I bet so. If they were for position, that place would be going absolutely nuts right now. We are halfway through tonight's race. Time for the trivia question in Chicagoland track fact. Who are the only 2 drivers in NASCAR Cup Series history to win back-to-back Cup races at Chicagoland? That is tonight's trivia question. Again, who are the only 2 drivers in NASCAR Cup Series history to win back-to-back Chicagoland races? Got to have them both in your same message in the chat. In the answer, you get unlimited attempts. No hints, and the answer will be at lap 145 if nobody gets the answer correct before then. I'll shout you guys out, of course, for whoever gets the question right first, as usual. That's good to hear, by the way, Derek. Pretty quick. Good thing it wasn't severe then. Well, I mean, obviously cancer's severe, but I'm sure you understood what I meant by that. In the sense that it wasn't anything, you know, highly major. Was it like something pre-cancerous, or was it legitimately cancer itself, like she was diagnosed? This seemed like a pretty quick recovery. Jimmy Johnson, Kyle Busch. That is not correct. In fact, Jimmy Johnson never won at Chicagoland. It was the only track in his NASCAR Cup Series career he never won at, excluding the Charlotte Roval, which, of course, he only got a few attempts at. But it was the site of Johnson's only Xfinity Series win in his Xfinity Series NASCAR career. Junior getting pinched by Brian Vickers through turns 1 and 2. Casey Mears into the pits. Looks like Mark Truex Jr. is in as well. Dale Jr. had no clue Mears was going to pit when he did. Trying to read. Truex, Kyle Busch, that is not correct. Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson, not correct. Truex Johnson, nope. I haven't seen it right yet. Tony Stewart, Truex, nope. Michael Waltrip's in the pits. A lot of the leaders are coming in. Dale Jr. is still showing only halfway on fuel. I think he's managing his fuel mileage a lot better than the rest of the field. And he only has about a couple extra laps of fuel compared to the rest of the field right now. But it's showing more than that, so he could make up time because of it. Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson, nope. No, again, Johnson never won at Chicagoland in his career, so... Kevin Harvick, Martin Truex Jr., that would be correct. Billy Carjoy has gotten the question right in the chat. The two drivers to go back-to-back at Chicagoland in the Cup Series, Martin Truex Jr., Kevin Harvick. Kevin Harvick won the first two races at Chicagoland in 2001, 2002. And then Martin Truex Jr. went back-to-back in 2016 and 2017. Quarter tank of gas left for Earnhardt. He's up to 19th. He's passed a lot of cars that have pitted. He's still a lap down, though, which if caution came out now, he would not get the free pass, because I don't think he's the first car one lap down. I saw Biffle cycle out ahead just a little bit ago. Got a half right. There were quite a few people who said Truex. They remember the 2016-2017 back-to-back. But yeah, the first 2 years at Chicagoland, Harvick won both races there. Both those races were in the summer. The two wins Truex had were actually at the beginning of the chase in 2016 and 2017 in Joliet. Edwards is on pit road as we speak. So Dale Jr. will be back on the lead lap. Now would be the perfect time to get a caution. While he is back on the lead lap. He's definitely going to stretch this run out as far as he possibly can. Edwards stayed out a little bit longer, but he had a pretty decent-sized lead, so I think he will hold on to the lead following his pit stop as he's working his way off pit road right now. Dale Jr. just got to the inside of Elliott Sadler through turns 1 and 2. Completes the pass for 14th. Speaking of Kevin Harvick, there he is right in front of Dale Jr. into turns 3 and 4. And Harvick going to get to the inside of Biffle. Dale Jr. going to take him 3 wide. He's a lot later in the tire stint now than what he was earlier when he was making 3 wide passes. Squeezes Harvick in the 29. Harvick makes it past Biffle and stays in front of Earnhardt. Dale Jr. still on the inside of the 16. Remember, Jr.'s got older tires than these guys now, so he wasn't going to be able to just mow right around him like he did on the few 3 wide passes he had moving his way up through the field up to this point. But he has definitely got a fast race car. I think that air pressure adjustment seems to be the right way to go because he's got a lot more grip at this point to run as well. Dives it under Harvick. He side drafted him in that left rear corner battle quite a bit before ducking downwards into the corner to the bottom of the racetrack. Slides clear off turn 2 on the 29 car. Stays in the throttle and tries to get away. Up to 12th. 29.772. Even this late in the run, that's highly impressive. Still running 29.9s. Definitely made his long run speed a lot better than what it was before. Needs to find a way to get a timely caution. He should be able to make this race on 2 stops. The rest of the field, well, they have to pit 2 or 3 times from the last time we went green. We don't get another caution. They have to pit 3 times. That could be an opportunity for Dale Jr. to still win this race. He's obviously going to have to make up 7 seconds still with that. He did have a mistake on pit road the last and only stop he has made for tires, which was that first green flag stop of the run. Front tire changer had issues rounding the car after changing the right front tire before moving over to the lefts. Mark Martin with a big block on Tony Stewart into turns 1 and 2. Dale Jr. to the inside of Stewart. Clears him quickly to the inside of Martin for 10th on the backstretch. 3 wide up ahead into turns 3 and 4. They'll merge. Jr. hooks the white line through the corner and is clear of Martin for 10th. Stewart underneath him for 11th. He'll clear him in the tri-oval and throw a block as he goes up the track on the 6. Good comeback up to this point for Dale Jr. Far from over yet. Jr. only 6.5 seconds off the race lead. Edwards probably dealing with lap traffic right now as well, I'd have to imagine. I don't think he's at 1/8 of a tank of fuel yet left in his car. One car blowing up on the inside of the track. That's Kenny Schrader in the 49. That will not bring out a caution as we continue to stay green. Schrader in that Schwann's car able to get to pit road. 3 wide goes Earnhardt through turns 1 and 2 under Jimmy Johnson and Kurt Busch. Battle for 8th. Still 3 wide. Into 3. Johnson slides clear of Kurt Busch up in that middle to upper groove. And Dale Jr. will clear Johnson off turn 4. 5.7 seconds off the lead. And I guess Junior was at about an eighth of a tank of fuel left a couple laps ago when I mentioned it. And he's definitely running on fumes right now, and is going to have to drop himself outside of the 8th place position once he pits. And he'll go right back to being a lap down, but he's really trying to stretch this as far as possible. Again, just in case we get a caution. 110 laps to go this time by. Imagine Carl Edwards blows an engine, that'd be something. Yes, it would. That'd be insane. Especially with him being the points leader, having this good of a race so far. I think he's going to be the one to beat if Dale Jr. can't get up there himself. Junior will pit this time by. He doesn't want to risk running out of fuel. 109 laps to go this time by. Junior will be on his way in. 5 seconds off the race lead from Edwards. Can't wreck this time. Power slides, trying to get as much time on to pit road as possible, and he is in. 4 tires and fuel. No adjustments for the 8 car this time around. They need a clean stop. Second stop of the day for Earnhardt. That was like a perfect pit road entry. He had a little bit of a slide off the transition from the banking, but he didn't overcorrect it this time. It got down to pit road speed. It's another way he could gain time on the racetrack. Fast stop, 15.8 seconds. It's a clean one at that. And Dale Jr. will get up to speed. And he is going to be a lap down. And he's in 41st. Which is last of any car on the track. So you're trying to get up to speed in the 8 car now. He's not going to be in the free pass position, so if we get a caution at this point, unfortunately for Dale Jr., that would not give him the free pass, so he's going to need this racetrack to stay green for a while yet. Definitely one more stop to the end for Dale Jr. The rest of the field will have to make at least one more, maybe 2. And if they make 2, again, that would be the window of opportunity. Dale Jr. would have to make up at least 5 seconds of time from when he made his second stop. Jr. make this race on one less pit stop. The timing of those 3 cautions might be the only saving grace for Jr., even though he was involved in 2 of them. But he soft spins with very light hits into the wall, luckily for Earnhardt. Nice to have this grip on the race car all the way down the white line. Didn't get really loose that time. Maybe a little bit, but nothing too major. He's got a lot of clean air in front of him after getting around Joe Nemechek in the 0-1 as well. That'll also help. We will take our second and final field pass of the race this time by. We'll start off with the 15 car of Michael Waltrip, as he is currently in the 26th place position, 21 seconds off the race lead from Carl Edwards. Last we left him, he was in 20th, so he's lost a little bit of ground. Closes quickly on the 21 of Ricky Rudd. Will pass him off turn 2 for 25th. Gonna have 100 laps to go next time by. For Edwards. Walter kind of chopped that corner off just a little bit. Oh, big block by Vickers off turn 4, slams into Michael Waltrip. And Waltrip will complete the pass in the tri-oval regardless. Waltrip now closing in on his own MWR race car of Kenny Wallace in the 00. Pass him on the backstretch for 22nd. Pretty easily as Waltrip flies around him. One more lap and we'll go back to Mark Truex Jr. for the second and final time in this race. Vickers always causing trouble, yeah. Even in the video games. And flash it forward now to Truex, who is in 17th, working his way around Jamie McMurray in the 42. He'll be clear on the back straightaway. Truex is about 14 seconds off the lead. Last we left of Truex, he was in 15th. Truex can definitely get back to 15th, that next car in front of him, before we leave him for the second and final time and races Dale Jr. the rest of the way. Again, it'll be very interesting to see when the rest of the field pits, when the time comes. Edwards was the driver who made it the longest on fuel, on top of the fact that he is dominating this race today. One of the Evernham Dodges in front of Truex. Not sure exactly which one. Stinky little dilly-do, welcome to the stream. It's Casey Kane in the 9 car, who is on the outside of Truex into turns 1 and 2. And Truex will clear him for 15th. I think Dale Jr. is the next car in front of Truex. And again, we'll fast forward to Dale Jr. for the rest of this race as we get to the start-finish line this time. Dale Jr. won 78 laps on fuel the opening run, but that was with 2 caution flags. So it was about 72 green flag laps in that stretch. The field can make it to about 72 to go before pitting. Then I think they can make it on one stop, but if they can't, I could get Dale Jr. right back in it. There must have been somebody else who blew an engine recently because Dale Jr. is up to 40th now. And Dale Jr. is going to really need this strategy to play out. Because if he has a bad day, he may be below the cutoff line on the chase. And for that last spot in the chase with just 8 races to go after tonight's race. And with points leader Carl Edwards leading as well. Even if Dale Jr. has an awesome final 8 races, I don't think he's going to have any shot of winning the regular season title. Really hoping this strategy is going to pan out for him. He needs it to stay green for now, and if he's going to get a caution, it's going to have to be when everybody else pits their next time. Whether they can or can't make it on fuel to the end. Had 3 yellows in the race, but the last one was at lap 78, and it's been a 97-lap green flag run so far from the time we went green at lap 82. Ethan, welcome into the stream. Stenhouse win again. I don't know. I mean, if he does, it'll probably be at a super speedway. But he's had really good speed, even at the intermediates this season. Chevrolet as a whole has, though, so I don't know how much of that is JTG Doherty Racing or just Chevy being really good this season. Think about all the teams that have been, you know, shocking teams as far as how their speed has been this year has been Chevrolet. RCR with Tyler Reddick, and from time to time, Austin Dillon. Both the Trackhouse cars. Eric Jones. RPM, or Petty GMS. And then obviously JTG Doherty with Stenhouse also being a Chevrolet. The good runs he's had this year. Poop in my butt, welcome to the stream. Trackhouse has been a powerhouse team this year for sure, but they're still shocker as far as going into the season. I don't think anybody thought they'd have the speed they had. I mean, yeah, they're definitely looking, for a 2-car team, they are looking really strong. They're definitely championship caliber team right now. Which is crazy to think considering they're only in their 2nd season. Dale Jr.'s had quite a bit of clean air for quite some time, but he's starting to catch up to some other cars in the lead lap again. Oh, Harvick's in the wall off turn 2. Nearly lost it again as we stay green. Sadler and Martin will get around him for position. That was almost a terrible timing caution for Dale Jr. That would have kept him a lap down, as he is not in the free pass position right now. But again, we stay green, luckily, with less than 100 laps to go. You can see the smoke from Harvick from that last lap. John Andretti's going to be a pass for position when Junior gets to the 14 car. Going to get underneath the 38 of Elliott Sadler. Oscar Ramirez Herrera, welcome to the stream. Scott Wimmer will be for position for Dale Jr. as well. Neither of these two are free pass cars, though. What about waiver rounds? I mean, I could, but I still have to pit at the end of the race, though, so it's not really going to do much. That's if everybody else in the lead lap pits during the next caution, too. They haven't pitted during every yellow. We've had 3. They pitted during 2 of them. Still outside of 72 laps to go right now, as we are at about 79 laps to go. It'll be 78 to go for the race leader, Carl Edwards, this time by. Dale Jr. pitted with 109 laps left. A lot of traffic up ahead. Nearly 3 wide into turn 3. The way it's looking right now, I think the field's going to be able to make it on one stop as well as Dale Jr. Waiting for him to start peeling onto pit road, and they haven't done it yet. Knowing Edwards made it as long as he did last time, I know he's going to be one of the last cars to pit again, I'd have to assume. Big block and a squeeze by Jimmy Spencer. That was for position, Junior getting around him. Luckily, they didn't wreck. 3 wide in turns 3 and 4 up ahead. Will they make it off the exit of the corner? Looks like they do. Jeff Green going to be for position. I'm not sure about Dale Jarrett in the 88. If that's going to be a... Oh, trouble! Turns 3 and 4 right in front of Dale Jr. And this is right at the edge of the pit window. Caution's out once again. Greg Biffle has crashed right in front of the 175. His teammate Matt Kenseth was collected. They were both in the top 5. Very intriguing caution at the edge of the pit window today. Looked like Kyle Busch got stacked up further back in the field as well. Dale Jr. is going to pit. These guys might be able to make it on field to the end. Everybody stays out except for Dale Jr. He's going to top off 4 tires. No adjustments for Earnhardt. That caution did not give him the free pass. He was not in the free pass position. Still back at 37th. This is our 4th caution of the day. He's going to go to the tail end of the field, which he's really only going to lose a couple positions here. So might as well pit. No incentive not to, but this is right at the edge of the pit window. I didn't see what lap we were on when that happened. I think it was lap 193. It was. So it was lap 193 where the caution happened. Which means we would have had about 75 laps to go when the caution came out. Dale Jr. made it 76 laps on fuel earlier. We are going to go green. Junior's a lap down, so he has to go an extra lap to the end compared to everybody else if he gets back in the lead lap. Cars are already scattering into turns 1 and 2. Hopefully we don't get any debris cautions this time and they can race it out. Can Dale Jr. make it on fuel in what is now turned into a fuel mileage race at Chicagoland? 2 and 3 wide into turns 3 and 4 up ahead. They are almost 4 wide off the exit of turn 4. Double wide, a little bit of contact off the exit of the corner, and they're trying to make it through. They're about to be 4 wide into turn 1, back where Dale Jr.'s at right now. Sadler stuffs it. Everybody trying to hang on. Scott Wimmer and Matt Kenseth were in the mix. Kenseth was just involved in that last caution. Gotta watch out for cars pitting sometime soon. Contact with Sadler. Jarrett will pull onto pit road. Now will we stay green long enough for everybody to cycle through pit stops for Junior to get back on the lead lap? And will we stay green to the end of the race in general? Junior's automatically going high into turns 3 and 4. He doesn't want any risk of a potential wreck happening in front of him. Cars below are pitting. Off turn 4, one car gets squeezed into the wall on the outside as they were about 4 wide again. Truex is in big stack up on that outside lane after the contact with a couple cars off turn 4. Dale Jr. underneath the 17 of Matt Kenseth. They are still scattered 3 by 3 on the backstretch right now. Jr. trying to get to the outside in front of Kenseth. He's waiting on more cars to pit. He's in the middle lane now. Few cars on the bottom pit. Gets into the back of Johnson, who checked up off turn 4 to keep from running into the back of some of the cars entering the pit lane. Contact into turn 1 between Kenseth and Quaffle. Quaffle checked up, Junior did right behind him. Out of a safety precaution. Edwards still on the track. So the cars did not feel confident that they were going to be able to make it to the end on fuel. Dale Jr. drives underneath the 77 car of Travis Quaffle as he side drafts him. On the backstretch, deep dive into 3 and 4 for Dale Jr. He'll pass Quaffle for position. Carl Edwards is still on the track. Johnson just pit from the lead lap as well as another car in the top 5. About 72 green flag laps is what Dale Jr. was able to go earlier. He has to go 71 laps on field at the end of the race right now. to win this on fuel mileage after a 4-car crash in turns 3 and 4 with 75 laps to go. Wood Jr. lap down, trapping him a lap down again. Shane Meal just keeps crowding Dale Jr. on the front stretch. He's underneath him multiple times and was still making contact with him. Meal again with more blocks. Kurt Busch to the lead. Edwards is on pit road. Shane Meal, Dale Jr. battling for the free pass position if a caution comes out. This is for 4th. Jr. will clear him into 1 and 2. So now if a yellow comes out, he'll get the free pass. And back on the lead lap, Kurt Busch. Still on the track. When will the 97 pit? Stays out to get 5 bonus points leading the lap. He'll stay out again. Meal will come in now that he's lost the free pass spot. And for Kurt Busch, 61 laps to go. Oscar Maris Herrera thinks Dale Jr. is going to win this race. Michael Turner thinks I'm going to make it. I mean, what a crazy turn of events. That couldn't have been a more perfect timing caution for Jr. if he, and only if he can make it on fuel to the end. Kurt Busch is in, Jr. back on the lead lap, and Kurt Busch was the last car that had to hit pit road. That means Dale Earnhardt Jr. will be the leader this time by. And he's going to be on a little bit older tires. By about 10 laps, maybe a little more than that, compared to a lot of the lead lap cars that are still out there right now. So they're going to try to run Dale Jr. down to the end of this race. And Jr. can't really just hold back and save, because with being a lap down when this all happened, he's not going to have a gigantic lead. Kurt Busch is making his way off pit road now. Dale Jr. will take the lead into turns 1 and 2. For the first time since about lap 28, Dale Earnhardt Jr. leads at Chicagoland. It took 180 laps from a spin and going a lap down to a timely caution, allowing him to pit. And here we go to the finish. Fuel mileage for Dale Jr. Everybody else is good. Can Jr. make it? He's only got a 3.1 second lead, so again, he can't save fuel. He's got to go 71 laps. Caution comes out. I think that's going to, unfortunately, hurt Dale Jr.'s chances of winning this one. The more laps left, if a yellow comes out, even worse for Jr. on his older tires. The only good thing is that he would be able to pit, but the problem is there's not too many cars a lap down. So to restart outside the top 20, I don't think he's going to have a shot. This is probably going to be his best chance to win. He's actually running good lap times on about 10 lap older tires. It stayed between 3.1 to 3.2 seconds off the lead. But the fall off is going to be the big thing. That air pressure adjustment Dale Jr. made during that second stop of the day, that has been wonders, working wonders for this 8 team. This is why you never give up, ladies and gentlemen. Especially in a long and full race, anything can happen. He stuck it out a lap down for, like I mentioned, about 180 laps. Got the perfect timing caution to try to win this race on fuel strategy. See smoke coming from Mark DeMar's fuel calculator. He hasn't been that loose on old tires since that air pressure adjustment when they dropped 2 pounds all the way around. It's crazy how much of a difference that made because he was so loose on that first fuel and tire stint. That's why he spun out. Not once, but twice. Pushing a little too hard through 3 and 4 that time. He's just got to hit his marks. Just can't overdrive the race car. Has to stay glued to that bottom lane. Wonder where Carl Edwards has cycled. If he has maybe gotten back to second. Black Ace, welcome to the stream. Dad again, another born last month. Well, congrats, man. Enjoy the sleepless hours and the more changing of diapers. In all seriousness, like I said, congrats. It's going to be 2 wins in the last 3 races if Junior can hold on to win this one as well. So he did win at Infineon on the first road course race of the season 2 races ago. Daytona did not go well for him. But this could be a huge bounce-back race after qualifying on the pole. Led laps, like I mentioned earlier, but ever since that spin, he's been scratching and clawing from behind. He's maintaining his gap right now at about 3.1 seconds. Well, you're here tonight, that's all that matters. I just realized this might be my first win on a 1.5 miles. I have not won on a 1.5 miles in any of the 3 series on this game. In a 100% race, at least. I think I won 150% race on a 1.5 miles, if I remember correctly. I might even be wrong on that, honestly. I know I won a 50% race at Fontana. That's a 2-mile track. Maybe I didn't win on a 1.5 miles, even on a 50% race. I know I didn't in the trucks or Busch. Get over the hurdle now, knowing that there's a lot of 1.5 mile racetracks in the chase. Put the momentum back in Dale Jr.'s favor. In fact, the last 1.5 mile we were on was the Coca-Cola 600 at the Lowe's Motor Speedway. Dale Jr. DNF'd in that race, finished 41st. His only DNF of the season. Flipped in a gnarly crash midway through that race. Didn't even get to the end of 300 of the 600 miles when he crashed out. Still maintaining that 3.1 second gap as he continues to hit his marks. I think he will catch lap traffic before the end of this race. He's got through traffic pretty well so far, but those guys are going to be on a little bit fresher tires than him, so it's probably going to be the hardest to get through lap traffic at all today. The next waiting moment in this fuel strategy race is to see when Dale Jr. hits halfway out of fuel. And he has to go 71 laps. So he needs to get to at least 36 laps to go to be pacing to make it to the end. Didn't even make it 200. Well, thanks, Michael. Making it sound even worse. That's in the past, though. The Junior's won 2 races since then. Trying to make it 3 since then. His quest for his first NASCAR Nextel Cup Series championship. Currently have 44 laps still to go. Longest green flag run, just over 110 laps. 111 to be exact, from lap 82 to 193. Junior about 10 slower in second place that last lap. Looks like he lost another 10th through turns 1 and 2 that time. Maybe 2. I wonder if there was a battle for a second when they cycled off pit road. That might have been one of the reasons Dale Jr. was kind of managing his gap. Look at the lap times. I mean, Junior's still running 29.9s. So he hasn't really slowed his pace down. They've just gotten a bit quicker. $40 to go at the line. That only win on an intermediate track this season at Fontana was also a fuel mileage race, even though it was a 50% race. Coincidentally, this one's turned into it also. May go on to lead a lot of laps to the end of this one, too. Edwards has by far led the most. At least we can add this to the season total, which was up over 1,000 the first half of the season. He's got to be careful getting as much apron as he is every now and then. Don't want to spin out in this situation. Just needs to focus on what's going on ahead of him. And that'll help him manage his gap. $37 to go. If he can run one more lap before hitting halfway on fuel, specifically a lap and a half, if he gets to the backstretch with 36 laps to go, which would be the next lap, then he is pacing exact to make it on fuel to the finish. Hope we have extra fuel in the roll cage bars. That'd be a dangerous place to hide it, especially if we have an accident like Kevin Harvick had earlier. Car would spontaneously combust. Yeah, Dale Jr. is pacing really well right now. $35 laps to go. Already ran 36 laps since the restart. Still hasn't hit halfway on fuel yet. And now he's halfway. So he's sitting about a lap to the good on fuel, by my calculations. Again, can't really save in this situation with just a 2.8 second lead. Having to run a pretty quick pace on a consistent basis at that as well, which so far he is able to do. He's just hoping the tires don't fall off too much. So has to keep pushing. Still a lot of clean air in front of Dale Jr. for the time being. They'll use that to an advantage. Leads down to about 2.6 seconds at the line. It was 3.2 at one point after the green flag pit stop cycled. Two and a half seconds, with 30 laps to go, is the difference between first and second. So in about 20 laps, they've gained about 0.7 of a second on Dale Jr. That pace, they'll probably get it down to about a second off the lead. But that'd be about as close as they get with the pace that they are running right now in comparison to Dale Jr. So they're either going to have to try to find another 0.5 a lap somewhere on a consistent basis, or Dale Jr. is going to have to fall off of about 0.5 a lap for them to catch Dale Jr. without the help of lap traffic. Which again, Jr. will catch lap cars before the end of this race if it does go green to the finish. Junior overdrove turn one that time. That's not going to help. Got on the brakes a little heavier that time to keep the car into the bottom of the track still. Actually, it really didn't cost him any time. He's still 2.5 seconds ahead. Very fortunate. Wonder if there may be a potential battle for second. Oh, man! That car just snapped around on the white line through the tri-oval. Dale Jr. power sliding. I was thinking of Darrell Waltrip when Kyle Busch pushed Kevin Harvick's car on pit road when they got in that altercation, the Southern 500 in 2011. The dadgum car took off. One car on the apron through the tri-oval blowing an engine right now, and that will be Kyle Petty in the 45. He'll try to limp it to pit road. So we stay green for now. 26 laps to go. Junior's just going to have to go back to pacing himself like he was before. Definitely want to manage the tires well also. It's Kyle Petty still trying to limp his way around. Now, if this was real life, they would have thrown the caution by now, as slow as Petty is, but he is off the track and out of the way, so that's why we continue to stay green. 1.6 seconds between first and second place right now. Dale Jr. on about 10 to 15 lap older tires. One mistake by Dale Jr. cost him about, what, 9/10 of a second? The original pace, they were going to get down to about a second, so I think he still got about a tenth of the good, the pace he is running right now. There's a lot of heavy lap traffic at the back of the pack currently, but they're still quite a ways ahead of Dale Jr. for the time being. Everybody hit that like button and subscribe for more daily NASCAR content if you haven't already. Watching a Do It For Dale NASCAR 06 Cup Series race at Chicagoland, the USG Sheetrock 400. Dale Jr.'s right rear in the yellow already, and he still has another 22 laps to go. He's definitely burning the tires off the car on this run. Trying to maintain this gap on a little bit older tires. He's about a lap to the good on fuel, trying to win this race on fuel strategy. Caution came out with 75 laps to go in this race. Dale Jr. pitted for 4 tires and fuel. Nobody else did. They didn't think they could make it. They pitted a few laps after the restart. Jr. was a lap down at the time, and that's why he has a 1.6 second lead currently. It was 3.2 seconds. It's down to 1.6 this run. He's trying to manage it. And get his first win on a mile and a half this season. And my first win on NASCAR 06 on a mile and a half in any of the 3 series. Seem to have good finishes here. I just can't break through into victory lane. This could be the one. Second place about a tenth quicker than Dale Jr. that last lap. I didn't see what the lap time Dale Jr. had that last lap, but it didn't feel slow. Red Wolf 1, welcome to the stream. Nope, no assists. Not on this game. I do use assists on NASCAR 21 Ignition on the 750 tracks, on the 750 ovals and road courses. I don't use them on the 550 tracks in that game. Well, the only 2 550 tracks would be Charlotte and Michigan. Those tracks are really hard to handle in that game for whatever reason when you're on old tires compared to the other 550 tracks. The physics in that game were better if you make contact with other cars. I would be alright with no assists, but on the short tracks and road course, it's so hard not to make contact, especially on the short tracks. Your car just wants to spin out with no assists on. No matter where you hit them on your race car. Outsider, welcome to the stream. Harvick is behind you, then beware. I didn't even think about that. I don't think he is. I think it's probably still Carl Edwards, who's led the majority of this race. 17 laps to go. It is a 1.2 second, maybe 1.3 second lead down the backstretch right now. A lot of lap cars battling, and they are 3 wide off turn 4 up ahead. And the more they battle, the quicker Junior's going to catch him. That is going to be a mess. Dale Jr. really hopes they organize before he gets there. They're still 3 wide into turns 1 and 2, and they're definitely not organizing. One thing with Junior and older tires, it doesn't take... He's got a quarter tank of gas left right now. He'll be coming to 15 to go at the line. I think he's still pacing well enough to make it on field to the end of the race. That lead's only down to about 1.1 seconds at the line. 15 laps to go. He's lost a tenth a second each of the last 4 laps. Gonna have to find something out of this 8 car. He's running good lap times. It's just the cars behind him are running a little bit quicker just on those 10 to 15 lap pressure tires. Just think their tires are only going to be as old as Dale Jr.'s right now when the checkered flag flies. So from here to the end, Jr.'s constantly going to have older tires. He is getting loose in the tri-oval. And he's still loose down into turn 1. The flip of a switch, this car is not handling that well. And he lost a lot of time there as well. 3 wide with the lap cars up ahead in turns 3 and 4. And Dale Jr.'s only got about a 4/10 of a second lead. Might be Ryan Newman in front of him. Or behind him, sorry. Still 3 wide up ahead. Junior's going to get pretty aero loose if Newman gets close enough behind him, even without Newman touching him. Pack of 4 lap cars still racing extremely hard. 12 laps to go for Dale Jr. He's got loose in the tri-oval twice now. Everywhere else on the track, he's seemingly alright with the handling. I think Edwards is in 3rd, but I believe Ryan Newman is in 2nd. Junior overdrives turns 3 and 4. He's going to go up the track. That was a big mistake. Newman to the inside off turn 4. 11 to go. Newman will lead his first lap of the race. Junior with the crossover into turns 1 and 2. Can he hang on old tires? This is going to be a power move if and only if he can complete this pass. Still side by side, down the back, into turn 3. Junior. Newman, still side by side. 10 to go at the line. Newman clear. Junior in the wall. That might have prevented him from potentially clearing Newman again that time. They're still side by side. Into turns 3 and 4. Newman crowds the 8. Newman again up high. Does not block Junior. Junior's there. 9 laps to go into turns 1 and 2, and they're working on lap traffic. Tony Stewart, meanwhile, takes over 3rd from Edwards, and Junior clears Newman off turn 2 for the lead and a block on the backstretch. Clear again as they enter into turns 3 and 4. What a battle. And somehow Dale Jr. on older tires, after about 3 laps of running side by side, was able to cross Ryan Newman back over. 8 laps to go. He's got about 1/8 of a tank of fuel left. Oh, Truex has got issues. Truex on pit road late. A lot of cars are pitting. Junior may not be the only one that is struggling on fuel to the end of the race. Stewart to the inside of Newman for 2nd into turn 3. Not quite going to get there. Left rear starting to wear out on Junior's car. He's got dirty air with the cars in front of him. Tony Stewart just pitted from 3rd. That car's running out of fuel all over the place now. Side by side with the lap traffic in front of Dale Jr., Scott Riggs and Terry Labonte. Nowhere to go for Earnhardt. Riggs blocks Labonte. Jr. looks low but can't get underneath the 44 of Terry. On the inside, trying to get around Riggs. Now he gets under Labonte as well. Newman looks low. Newman pits off turn 4. He's short on fuel. That's going to give Junior about a 1/2 a second lead again, and he's going to clear Terry Labonte into turns 1 and 2. I think Edwards is in 2nd. Five to go at the line. Edwards lost a 1/10 of a second trying to get around Riggs. That last lap. Edwards has made it longer on fuel than a lot of other cars today. Oh, Labonte's in the wall in turns 1 and 2, but we stay green, no caution. Edwards going to get underneath him now. It's about as loose of a race car Junior's had since the start of the day on that very first run. And he was late in the tire stint there. Edwards has cleared Labonte into 3 and 4 after Labonte got in the wall in 1 and 2 the corner before. No lap cars between the top two, 4 to go. I remember NASCAR Thunder 04, we had a fuel mileage race at Chicagoland under the lights, and remember we beat Gordon on a last lap pass in that race. We'll see a last lap pass today. Edwards about a 10th quicker than Junior that last lap. Side-by-side lap traffic in front of the 8 right now with the 14 of John Andretti and the 31 of Jeff Burton. Junior really loose into turns 1 and 2. He's down on the bottom, 3 wide. Lap car on the bottom is Jeff Green off the exit of the corner. They're 4 wide off the exit of turn 2. Luckily, Green was still trying to get up to speed. Michael Waltrip is on pit road. Junior still 3 wide with the 14 and the 31, who almost made contact on the outside. 2 to go at the line. Junior's definitely going to have enough fuel to the end. Jeff Green's got fresher tires behind the 8 car. He has gotten the 8 car loose in the tri-oval. In the dirty air, Junior sideways. He makes contact with Green. Green goes up the track. He's in the wall. And Carl Edwards leads down the backstretch. Gordon to second. Can Edwards make it on fuel to the finish? He stays out of the pits this time. White flag in the air. 1 lap to go. Dale Jr., Jeff Gordon battle for second. Carl Edwards trying to make it to the end on fuel. Off turn 2, Junior's going for it on the 24 car. Into turns 3 and 4, full send mode for Dale Jr. Andretti pits. Carl Edwards is going to make it, and he is going to win a fuel mileage race at Chicagoland. Jeff Gordon second, Dale Jr. third. Kurt Busch fourth, and Jeremy Mayfield is going to round out the top 5 tonight at Chicagoland. Still no wins on a mile and a half. Once I was 4 wide with the lap cars, I couldn't hang on to it. I don't know how I didn't wreck. I made contact with Jeff Green going into, turn 1? And that was it for Edwards. He deserved it. He dominated the race. 137 laps led for Edwards today. He led over half the race and won the race. 0.4 of a second margin of victory. Almost a half a second over Jeff Gordon, who didn't even lead a single lap. That's the 3rd straight top 2 finish for Gordon. Dale Jr. finishes 3rd, leading 74 laps from the pole. Kurt Busch finishes in 4th with 3 laps led. And rounding out the top 5 with no laps led again was Jeremy Mayfield after starting way back in 39th. Mark Martin gets the top 10, finishing 6th. Kevin Harvick led 1 lap, finishes 7th. Jamie McMurray 8th. Matt Kenseth led 43 laps, finishing 9th. And Jimmy Johnson rounded out the top 10. "14 cars finished on the lead lap. Newman was the first car 1 lap down in 15th, and of course he pitted while battling for the lead towards the end of the race, as well as everybody pretty much that finished behind him. Mark Truex Jr., I saw him pit late. He'll finish 22nd, unfortunately. He was in the top 15 before that. Michael Waltrip was in the top 20 before that. Also had to pit there late, finished 30th. And the only drivers who DNF'd today were Rusty Wallace, Kenny Schrader, McGee, Joe Nemechek, and Kyle Petty. I made contact with the 38th place car, who finished the race 4 laps down. 3 laps down. Unbelievable. I tried. That car, I cannot believe how loose the car got. It was not that loose the 2 runs before that with that setup. But it acted just like how it was at the end of the first run of the race, to be completely honest. It's a good points day, though. Led some laps, finished 3rd. I don't think I can argue with that, but golly, so close to winning that first mile and a half race on this game. It's a good finish, though. That was exciting. Check out the point standings before we get out of here tonight. Of course, Carl Edwards, who won the race, led the most laps, got the max points day. He is going to end up still leading in the points by 72 over Jeff Gordon, who finished in 2nd. Tony Stewart came into the race 2nd in points, only 52 back with running out of fuel towards the end of the race, ended up finishing outside the top 15. He ends up back in 3rd in points, 134 out of 1st. Dale Jr. climbs 1 spot in the standings with his 3rd place finish from 7th to 6th. Unfortunately, though, because Edwards got the max points day, even though he finished just 2 spots in front of Earnhardt, Earnhardt had a podium finish today. Unfortunately, Dale Jr. did lose points to Edwards, so he's now 212 back out of 1st. It's just the top 4 within 1 race worth of points instead of the top 6. Mike Bliss, despite getting in a wreck earlier in the race, still hangs on for that final spot in the chase as of right now over Bobby Labonte, who is just 5 points behind him. So tight battle. Matt Kenseth is only above the cutoff line by 12 points. Kevin Harvick, who's in 8th, is only above by 3 points. But a solid day today for Dale Jr. with a good finish. Is able to build that gap up. And he has 197 points above Bobby Labonte above the cutoff line right now. So that's good. Ryan Newman's still in it back there. If he didn't run out of fuel, he'd probably be right there with Bobby Labonte. But he ended up finishing 15th after running out of gas, unfortunately, at the end of the race. Well, he did get a lap led into scoring 5 bonus points. Obviously not the finish he would have wanted. Truex 17th in points, 804 back, and Waltrip still outside the top 20, 26th in points. And he is a long way out, and is definitely not going to make it into the chase. I don't even think Truex is going to make it in. He's about 400 points back with just 8 races to go until the chase begins. So that is going to end up finishing off tonight's stream. Tune in tomorrow night on the channel at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for more Cup Series action on the channel. We'll go back to NASCAR 21 Ignition in our final season there with my favorite driver, Ryan Blaney, trying to bounce back after 2 rough finishes in the last 2 races over the last couple of nights at Road America and at Atlanta last night. Again, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard start time on that one. Like and subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. I will see you guys tomorrow night. I will also have the IndyCar race highlight / vlog up on the channel tomorrow from Mid-Ohio this last weekend. So tune in for that sometime on the channel. Be sure to hit that notification bell and set the notifications on for all posts and uploads. I'll see you guys tomorrow night. Thanks for watching. Great racing action. Fuel mileage race at Chicagoland today. Who would have thought that weird timing caution with 75 to go? But nonetheless, it was a fun one. And enjoy. Have a good, safe rest of your night.